Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Wow, I'm really delighted to be on this board for the thoughtful approach. But most importantly, I want to thank everybody who participated in the framework, whether you gave your 2 cents or whether you worked on it through analysis or whether you were a staff member or a presenter. That was one of the best presentations I've witnessed on this dais, and I thought it was very thorough. And having said that, though, I have a lot of kind of questions because I know we didn't have enough time to go through it all entirely. It is a huge report. And I think it was Mr. Whalen that said that he read it over the weekend, and kudos to him, because I don't know that I could have sat that long to read through it. I had to break it up. But having said that, you know, the consistency of service, we know that we've had problems with electricity now with wires and winds and fire. And if we have solar panels out there, I want to make sure that we're looking at the consistency of service. If some of that power is trashed through a fire, what will that do to the communities here? You know, a lot of people, they live in areas of the county, depending on the time of year. And while we think of looking out of the window today and seeing beautiful weather and maybe sweater weather, in some parts of the county, they get ice and snow and frost. And for seniors, that could be very troubling. We know in New York City, during cold spells when power has been cut off, people have died. And while I think that our risk factor is smaller, a life is a life is a life, and it's all, everybody's important. So I'd like to, moving forward, to think about how are we going to be emergency prepared and any redundancies that we may need when we look through it. The second thing is, we've been through several droughts over the last 2 decades, and San Diego's done an awful lot. We've invested, the County Water Authority has invested over $3 billion to give us more water availability. It's been very clever in their approach. But as we think about reforesting, are we thinking about drought tolerant? Are we thinking of how much water all that costs? And I know there's water usage when it comes to solar panels. And so I just want to make sure that we're thinking about the aquifers and the quality of life as we move forward. And look, that report was outstanding. It took in so many factors I haven't even thought of. And maybe I just haven't gotten far enough in the report. Maybe all the stuff is already examined in there, but it made me think about it. The other thing is I grew up, before I moved to Paradise of San Diego County, I grew up in Detroit. And I saw the plight of auto workers. Many of my friends, their families were all tied to the auto industry. And I think that that job report that's coming out is going to be very crucial, because I don't think any worker should be left behind. I think that this future should be bright for everyone. And so I'm really curious to see where that takes us. But in the auto industry, everyone was told that they wouldn't lose any jobs, they would move to computer jobs, and it didn't work out too well for many of those folks. And that's why I think it's part of the reason why Detroit is still suffering and trying to recover. The other part that was interesting to me, that was the notion that for every megawatt, and I may be saying this wrong, and I'm happy to be corrected, is a rule of thumb is 5 acres. And when we talk about the demand that we're going to have to build in the short run here, we're talking about tens of thousands of acres of solar. And I would, if there's any way for us to approach this, and look, I get that, and what I loved about this report, it was about what we can do today. But I do think that as we move forward, if we could focus on what it would cost to do a pilot and push harder on wave technology. It's a consistent form of power. It was in the report. It would offer a lot because it's closer to the people, so you're not going to lose as much power as it travels down the line. And I think that this is a natural resource where we truly could be leaders on this. And my gosh, some of the best research that's being done is in our county. So, you know, if we could step that up in some way and fast track it, because if it is a solution, you know, I want the best solutions. I don't want to be narrow-minded in our approach. I want to accomplish these goals. And then, you know, as you all were making your points, and everyone, by the way, I feel very lucky to be serving with all of you. Every board member here has brought up outstanding points on moving forward, and it's really kind of opened my eyes. But, you know, we always talk about farm to table. We talk about the importance of purchasing locally. When I grew up in Michigan, we didn't have apples in the winter. I ate an ear of corn at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a couple snacks. I went through 12 years a day during the summer when it was, because I had 2 months of corn, and then we moved to frozen things. And we didn't have that access. And yet, here in San Diego County, we can grow anything. We have the best climate possible. And when I go to the store and I see stuff, and look, I'm not against any other country or any other country's farmers, but when I see products from South America and we're not getting them local, and we talk about VMT, and we talk about all these other things, let's put in the balance the cost of alternatives, because I think that Chair Fletcher made a good point. We're not going to give up on eating. We're all going to continue to eat. And so, you know, when we're looking at this globally, are we putting the correct focus on local sourced food versus having something travel around the world? So, you know, I just want to, it may be that South America is the best way to go, but I think that we can't live in a bubble. We have to think about it. It's just like on the VMT, one of the items that irks me is the fact that I could live in Temecula, I could commute to anywhere in San Diego County, and I pay no penalty. But if you work lakeside or east, there's a potential penalty on that VMT. Well, so if you're in the middle, again, if you're in the middle, we seem not liking middle class, middle anything, mezzanine funding. We don't like anything in the middle. We like the furthest and we like the closest. And so I want to be fair to all those that live in our county, and I want to address the problem in a way that solves the problem. I don't want to feel good, I want to do good. And so with that, I want, again, thank you, colleagues. It's a pleasure and a privilege to serve with you.